prosthetic effects using the whale. Adrian Moreau. On CHAU. And let's please welcome Brendan Fraser.
How's everybody doing? A little sad. Thank you.
I'll take it.
Congratulations, guys. The Whale began as a play, and even in this version, it's intrinsically conversational, which I like, right? It's scene after scene of two people talking. So I wanted to ask you, maybe first a question for the actors. Did you rehearse this like a play? Did you enter into it like a play?
Yes. Check. We had 3 weeks to rehearse this. For courtesy of A24, I mean, seriously, can you imagine? Seriously, they gave us that much time to learn our job. This is a room full of actors, isn't it? And you know what I'm talking about. We got to make our discoveries and make all our mistakes, get to know each other before we arrived at the build set to, make it real. And that really, really helped. Imagine that, knowing your job before you go to do it.
Hung, I'd like to hear your thoughts too about that. Entering into like a proper rehearsal period. Also, Brendan, without the makeup, what was that like?
Before we started, the first time I talked to Darren, he asked me how I felt about going into a rehearsal, if I had any sort of trepidation about that, and I was like, no, I'm very happy to work with however anybody wants to roll. I think for The Whale, that it was based off of a play, I think it was really, it made sense. It was so helpful to have Sam Hunter there to, particularly with Ty and Sadie's characters, I think it was very helpful for him to be there and sort of explain like the different nuances of what was going on, because those characters, I think Ty in particular, his character was there was a lot of mystery there, and it was very helpful. And the rehearsal process was good for us because it was during COVID, the industry had just gotten back up, and so when we were on set, we would have to put our masks back on the moment they yelled cut. So there wasn't really a lot of time for socializing, and that was, the rehearsal period was really that time for us to get to bond and to see each other with our masks off. And Darren really encouraged us to behave like a theater troupe when we sat and we watched each other's scenes, even if we weren't in it. So we all knew what movie we were making, and sometimes people don't know. And we were on one stage with tape on the floor that were the exact dimensions of the set that was being built at another stage right next door.
And we weren't allowed to walk through the tape.
Yes, I got in trouble.
We had to go around and use the front door. Strict rule.
It's
safety first.
So I do like the fact that when we watch The Whale, we see those discoveries happening. We see the characters coming to different levels and shades of background. The two of you, did you talk or develop your background story with Sam beforehand?
I think everything we needed to know was really there on the page. I mean, for sure, we had interesting conversations about what a game of Pictionary would have been like. 8-10 years are probably a lot of fun. They get along really well. I just followed the script. It's easier that way.
There it is.
He's a funny guy, isn't he?
Another thing that I very much enjoy about the dynamic is you can tell what they were like maybe in older days. There are moments of levity, moments where they're teasing each other. And I imagine finding that balance between the severity of the situation now and remembering the way it was tricky, because you don't really say goodbye to your friends, right? Even when they're doing things that are bad for them.
Charlie puts poor Liz in a really tenuous, awkward place, and having her become a de facto enabler. Is that fair? Yeah. I'll speak for you, she's a medic. She knows clearly better than that. She has empathy and compassion for him that extends beyond her friendship with him. They bicker with one another, and then they sit down to watch Maury, and everything's better for a little while. And I think they're just like, they're besties. They do what works and works and works until it doesn't work anymore. They try something new. We didn't really have time for a fully fledged deep dive in so far as like who they were before, but I can tell you that for the room that we were in, the way it was decorated, the history is right there on the walls and the furniture and the curated books. If you freeze one of these days, you'll see it's a really impressive library. There was even a subtle theme, a nautical theme, throughout the apartment, harkens to Herman Melville's The Whale, or the Moby Dick. And certainly I think a history that spoke to the relationship that was absence of two actors being together was in Alan's room, which was ghostly and preserved and a product of its time, but it definitely told the story of their relationship, and clearly a stark contrast from how Charlie had found himself in his life.
Meanwhile, Adrian, you're working on these prosthetics and this makeup, and I don't mean, yes. And this work is really truly beautiful in the sense that we are seeing the performance more clearly through it. We're not seeing the makeup. Let me ask you first, did Darren give you any kind of parameters or directives before you got started?
Hi. Well, of course, yes, the first thing we did was to establish what Charlie was going to look like. We had an exchange with different pictures. But the main thing that he told me is that I couldn't obstruct. He understood like the magnitude of the makeup that we have to do on Brendan. But in no way could I obstruct Brendan's main tool, which was his ability to act and emote. And he was like, no matter what you come up with, you need to make sure that Brendan is not going to be limited in any way. So that was the main directive that I had right from the start.
And did you two talk about this work as it was developing? Did you give any notes or have any kind of collaboration creatively on it?
As far as all the process, well, the first test was that like 7 hours, 6 hours, something like that?
It was 7 hours, yes.
7 hours, right. Well, we figured out that it's going to be a lot of work and ask for patience, and we learned a lot because in absence of Adrian Moreau's skilled excellence, you wouldn't have a Charlie and you wouldn't have a movie. Certainly you wouldn't have a character on screen who you can invest in and care about and believe. If there is anything that caught your eye that made you think, no, I don't believe that, I think I see a seam or something, but there's not one. There's not one. It's that precise, which is liberating as a performer, knowing that we're not trying to ask you to, we're not trying to pull one over on you and ask that you didn't notice that something was slightly off. The makeup itself, all the apparatus had a hard and fast rule, and that was to obey the laws of physics and gravity. The suit was cumbersome, and appropriately so. It had some residual motion to it. And what was it filled with? different combinations of?
Yeah, it was filled with, we were trying, like Brendan was just explaining there, we wanted the makeup not to be just a cosmetic thing. It needed to be a tool for Brendan to find the character of Charlie and help him create the character. So we tried to make it as accurate and respectful of what it would be in reality, and we filled in under the skin. There's like a substructure of rings that are made with, they're filled in with, I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's sort of gelatin pellets immersed in water. Yeah, they're called Orbeez. So there's Nerf gun now that shoots with it. It's really good. And so those were filled with that stuff, and it's great because it moves like accurately, but the weight is also accurate, and it made it very like nobody else than Brendan would have went through that torture.
I love my job. If that's the gear that you wear to play that character, so be it. You have other actors, you'll wear anything. Seriously. So, and it's important to have the integrity to believe in how good it is, too. So I could forget about it and just connect with Liz as best I could. And an interesting thing for me was how Darren really likes to shoot many takes, and that's okay.
He's not that bad. He's not that bad.
Not on yours. And I needed to sort of stay in the pocket, stay in the zone, and there was always going to be a little bit of care and feeding and reparation that had to go on. But it was really sort of an exercise in staying in the moment in a sustained way, and then action, all that.
Tell us about what it was like for you, Han, when you first saw Brendan in the full prosthetics. After rehearsing and doing all the preparation, was that kind of a eureka moment for you?
And this is no offense to anybody's work. It was not the suit that was the eureka moment for me. There was a light that changed in Brendan's eyes on that first day of filming. And that was really exciting for me. Maybe people who do theater more often get to see that day one transformation when you rehearse for a month or whatever on a stage production, but usually you don't get that time during filming for film and TV. So the Charlie that I saw during the table read is not the Charlie that I saw on day one of filming, and that was so exciting to see because I can't explain it. I really don't know, and I've never had a discussion with Brendan about it because just for me, I don't like to talk about process or what people are thinking. When you were asking earlier, I don't have conversations with Sam, our writer, about motivations or what he was thinking for things. I personally just like to figure that stuff out for myself and just get slapped on the hand by the director if I'm on the wrong track. So it was so interesting. I don't know. There's something that happens. The costume is not just clothes, right? It does change you, and you walk a different way. And makeup and costume and prosthetics, of course. It was just really beautiful, and then getting to be in that moment and getting to finally enter that world was so nice, because as nice as that 3-week rehearsal was, it was so satisfying to get to finally be Liz and Charlie.
And I understand that sometimes discussing the process isn't easy. It's not the same as actually getting into it and doing the work. But there is something that we can talk about that isn't about process, which is that I've read that you yourself became a mother during the shoot, or right before the shoot. And I read that the baby was on the set, and so tell us what it was like. I mean, this is a movie that deals explicitly, I think, with the idea of parenting and what that would. Were you feeling those feelings intensely in that moment?
Oh, absolutely. I almost didn't take the movie because I had just given birth. My daughter was 8 weeks old, and
Aw.
I just didn't think I was in the right place in my life to tackle something like this. I almost didn't audition because I didn't think I had it in me to even put a tape together, because they asked for 3 scenes, and one of them was that big scene on the porch with Thomas. And the amount of energy it would take to commit that to memory. And
Like giving birth.
Yeah. a little easier than But I have a really wonderful and supportive husband who told me that, that if I wanted to throw my hat in the ring, and if I did end up getting the part, that he would, help me figure it out and make it work. And he was the one who took care of our daughter while I was off shooting. And it was hard. There were definitely days where I was like, when does a human just drop dead from lack of sleep? Because it was, it was definitely difficult. But I really empathized with Charlie, his trying to connect with his daughter. I think my understanding and appreciation of the film was so much deeper when I saw it in Venice, having been a parent longer, than when I first read the script. When I first read the script, I think the feeling that I had was just understanding that you don't get as much time as you want to with your children. That was initially what I was feeling, and then getting to see the film in Venice. My kids, they're their own little people, and they have their own minds, and they're just really frustrating. And so getting to see that really confounding and fragile relationship, parent-child relationship, was so much more meaningful seeing it a year later, having shot the film and everything.
I'd like to throw that also to you, Adrian. What is it like when you see your creations up on the screen after knowing all the work that goes into them technically and what's behind them? Do you suspend all that and just enter it?
It's really hard, because the only thing I do when I'm watching the movie is, well, now it's getting better, but the first time when I saw it in New York is like watching the monitor like right off the set, and the only thing you do is your eyes are going all over the place. How did I miss this? Oh my God, look at it. So it was a bit of that.
I knew he was going to say that.
That said, like you work for months on creating these prosthetics and this makeup, which are inert pieces of rubber, and until you glue them on your actor's face, and then you do the makeup, and you do the coloration, and despite having like all the pores being exact, each hair like punched into the beard and all that stuff, it's still just inert material. And it's really the actor who makes it come to life. And when you go and see the movie and you see like, oh my God, it's actually a real person, that's very rewarding. So.
Adrian's gonna hate me for mentioning this, but he also did Megan. Let's take a couple of questions from the audience. I know we have a little bit of time. Raise your hand high, and I see right here in front.
For the scenes when there was excessive eating, how long was the choreography process for that, if there was one? And what was it like to shoot those? How long did it take?
And for the scenes with excessive eating, what was the choreography like? What was that like to shoot?
The same as it has been probably for the last 100 years since we've been making movies. There's a cuspidor, should it be needed. Limit the number of takes. Skip breakfast. I haven't touched a slice of pizza.
Yes, I see you over there.
Brandon, is there a memory that you tapped into during the week or whatever to help you with this role for this film?
Was there a memory that he tapped into from his youth that helped?
No.
All right, I know we have time for some more. Yeah.
You know, ever since college, right, every now and then the Moby Dick comes up and you think, oh yeah, the whale. What does the whale represent? And here, 2 minutes into the movie, we're like confronted with the whale is a middle-aged white guy, and I'm just curious. In the process, how did you work out the metaphor for the whale?
The title of this film is The Whale. Controversial as that is, and I mean that in all sincerity, because that title has meaning for many people, no matter who you are. It serves a purpose to effectively call you out to see if or not you think that that is a slur against those who live with obesity, or if you're tolerant enough to accept the invitation to come see this film without a furrowed brow, you'll quickly learn that it's thematic, because we all have a great white whale that we chase in our lives. Charlie's is his redemption. We don't know if he's going to have that or not up until the breathless last moments. It's a great read. You should crack a cover on it one of these days.
Let's thank our guests.